Philosophy. Philosophy is nothing other than the study of things that are invisible, and that happened only once. Part 7. The wound that does not repeat. The true philosopher seeks not a subject but a singularity, a moment so unrepeatable that to name it is already to lose it, and to revisit it is to distort it. This is the tragedy of speech, and the glory of philosophy, that it chases the ghost of an event which, by its nature, has no double, no copy, no trace, only its consequence. Think now of the fall of a sparrow in a field where no one watches, or of the first tear a man sheds alone that surprises him, or the instant before a woman realizes she has forgiven someone who never asked. Each is a philosophical event. Each is invisible to the world. Each happened only once. This is the material of the true philosopher, not the policies of the state, nor the predictions of markets, nor the banners of great ideologies, but rather the single flicker of revelation that passes through a soul like lightning through the sky. No residue, no scar, but the sky is never quite the same again. Philosophy, then, is not built upon repetition, is built upon rupture. And these ruptures are always invisible. Why invisible? Because the visible world is a kind of sealant, a lacquer that coats over rupture. It demands continuity, shape, legibility. But the events that form a foundation of philosophical life are ruptures of expectation, not confirmations. The visible insists that things are as they seem, but the philosopher is marked by what was not supposed to happen. The philosopher is the one who has been cracked by the real, the once-only event. Now let us turn to this, that happened only once. Is tempting to assume this is a poetic exaggeration. That surely the truly important things are things that keep happening, right? Love, death, taxes, war. But philosophy does not concern itself with the average occurrence of categories. It concerns itself with the one-off, the visitation, the unsought mercy, the terrifying clarity that floods a man while standing in the grocery aisle, the voice that says, "This is not your life," while he pours his morning coffee, the stranger who tells the truth when no one asked. These things do not repeat. They do not constitute cycles. They rupture cycles. And the study of such moments, this is the domain of philosophy, not religion. Religion will attempt to systematize the singular. It will restage the miracle and canonize the anomaly, not science. Science will demand replication, measurement, and the iron bar of cause. Philosophy, in its deeper sense, holds a vigil beside the unrepeatable. Philosophy as vigil. To philosophize truly is to sit by the bedside of the dying world, waiting for the whisper. The whisper of what? Of something that has no name, but which we are convinced we've heard before. That's the paradox. The once-only event feels like a memory, not a novelty. It hits not as information, but as recognition. The invisible moment comes not as news, but as homecoming. This is why philosophy is not pedagogy, not teaching in the ordinary sense, not instruction. It is a calling of memory toward the invisible, the soul's echo toward the thing that happened only once, but shattered all further comparisons. That is what a truth is, something that, once seen, makes everything else feel slightly false. The dangerous task. This is dangerous business. To study what is invisible is already to forfeit the safety of evidence. To study what has happened only once is to invite the charge of insanity. What are you looking for? They ask. What is your data? What can you prove? But the philosopher is not here to prove. The philosopher is here to reveal, not by demonstrating, but by disclosing. To say, there's another way of seeing this. To say, do not be so sure the light you see is the only kind. To say, perhaps what happened once is the source of all that repeats. A product of the zero-friction machine company. Now this fragment, philosophy, is nothing other than the study of things that are invisible and that happened only once. This fragment is not just a definition. It is an intervention. It is, as all such fragments are, a product of the zero-friction machine company, which is to say, it is a machine of disruption, not of violence but of release. It is designed to interrupt smooth ideological operations, to gum the gears of certainty, to jam the conveyor belts of conformity. What does this particular fragment do? It whispers to the soul, perhaps you're looking in the wrong place. It detaches us from systems of repetition, from habits of seeing, from institutional blinders. It pulls us toward the event, toward the invisible, toward the rupture. It grants us permission to say, maybe this thing that only happened once mattered more than anything I was taught. It dares to suggest that moment, the one I cannot explain, was not madness but revelation. And it does so without arrogance. It does so quietly, as a suggestion, as a seed. That is the method of the company, to implant devices that destabilize but lovingly sow. Conclusion, the trace of the once was. We must end but not conclude, for the study of the invisible and the singular has no end. Only edges, and even these edges are porous. What is philosophy? It is the hallowing of that which cannot be repeated. It is the stare into the dark until something flickers. It is the refusal to reduce the world to only what is seen and said again and again. Philosophy begins with a wound and ends with a whisper. And if we are lucky, truly lucky, we may come to suspect that we, ourselves, were the thing that happened only once. And that to study ourselves quietly, courageously, without applause or conclusion, is not ego, but philosophy. And that is enough.